The obsidian walls of the Overlord's throne room rose like jagged mountains, casting fractured shadows beneath the shifting skylight of Zalix Prime. Heat shimmered faintly across the silver-veined floor, a deliberate design meant to keep lesser species off balance, just one more display of Dominion arrogance. Captain Elias Vorn stood alone at the center of the hall, a single speck of flesh and fabric surrounded by a galaxy's worth of power. He was unarmed, unarmored, and unshaken. Above him, seated on a throne carved from a meteor's core, loomed Overlord Kostor the Eternal, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Dominion. 12 feet of armored scale, twin golden horns curling like war symbols, and eyes like molten obsidian. He watched Elias with mild curiosity, like a collector examining a peculiar bug. "Speak, human," Kostor growled, voice amplified by a vocal resonance collar. "We granted you this audience. Entertain us." The court snickered, an ugly sound, a blend of clicking mandibles, gurgling sacks, and hissing gas. Alien dignitaries of every shape and biome sat coiled in biothrones, draped in robes woven from dead stars. No human had ever stood here before. None had dared. Elias raised his head. "I come on behalf of Earth," he said clearly. His voice didn't boom, but it carried, measured, deliberate. "To demand recognition as a sovereign member of this dominion." The laughter came fast. Loud, guttural, scornful. A blue-furred ambassador from Yalath wheezed so hard he nearly fell from his perch. A Hernan diplomat clicked her jaws in amusement. Even the courtiers who hadn't bothered to listen before now leaned in, eager for the joke to continue. Kostor leaned forward. "You demand recognition?" He seemed genuinely baffled. "Your kind mops our outposts. You serve drinks at feasts. You are amusing, yes, but sovereign?" Elias didn't flinch. "We were annexed by force. Earth surrendered to prevent annihilation. That does not make us less." Kostor barked a laugh. "It makes you wise pets." Behind Elias, 2 Dominion guards tightened their grips on plasma pikes. The tension in the room prickled like static. Elias took a step forward, slow but firm. "I didn't come to be laughed at. I came to offer a challenge." Silence. Even the ambient hum of the throne room seemed to pause. "A challenge?" the Overlord echoed, his eyes narrowing. "Yes," Elias said. "By Article 17 of Dominion Law, cultural redress by combat. Trial by duel." Now the court wasn't laughing. Not yet. An old Zalixi scribe shuffled forward from the side dais, digital scroll glowing green. "The right exists," he muttered. "Last invoked, 2 centuries past." Kostor's gaze sharpened. "You would stand against me? Personally?" Elias nodded. "If I win, humanity is recognized as equal and free to negotiate its own path. If I lose, Earth remains your property, and you'll have the satisfaction of crushing me before your court." The room hesitated, then burst into fresh laughter, louder now, uncontrollable. One ambassador actually slapped his tail against the floor in delight. The idea was so absurd it looped back to entertaining. Kostor stood, towering, his shadow stretching like a storm. "You truly believe you could win such a duel?" "I don't believe anything," Elias replied. "But I know what I carry." The Overlord stared down at the human. "What weapon will you choose, little ape?" Elias met his gaze. "The sword." That silenced them. It wasn't fear, not yet. It was confusion. One alien murmured, "What is a sword?" Another muttered, "Antiquated. Pre-quantum warfare." A Zalixi general chuckled. "A metal stick." Elias simply waited. Kostor grinned, baring jagged teeth. "Very well, human. Tomorrow at high sun. In the arena of echoes. Bring your sword. We'll see if this Earth myth can bleed like the rest." He turned, a wave of his hand dismissing the matter. But Elias spoke again, calm, low, precise. "One more thing," he said. "The duel will be public. Let your people see." Castor paused mid-step, then glanced back over his shoulder. Of course, he sneered. Let the stars watch me end the delusion of man. Elias bowed once. Not deeply. Not subserviently. Then turned and walked through the corridor of sneering stares and disbelieving glares, never once lowering his eyes. Behind him, the throne room rippled with amusement and intrigue. But underneath it all, one note hummed different now, too quiet for the Overlord to hear, but not for those paying attention. It wasn't laughter. It was doubt. The arena of echoes was alive. Crowds filled the tiered stone arches, species from 100 systems packed into place, breathing anticipation and exhaling disbelief. Hollow feeds hovered overhead, streaming the event to the furthest moons. No one came expecting a contest. They came for spectacle, for the moment a fragile human got vaporized trying to swing a toy. Captain Elias Vorn stood in the center, alone again. But this time, the court didn't laugh. They watched. His uniform was gone, replaced by a simple earthweave tunic and black trousers tucked into worn boots. He looked unremarkable until he moved. He reached across his back, and from a sheath wrapped in carbon-threaded leather, drew steel. Not silver, not chrome. Not glowing with energy fields. Steel. Hand-forged. Tempered. Balanced for a human grip. The blade gleamed with purpose, long, elegant, razor-sharp. A sword. The crowd murmured. Cameras zoomed. What is that? A Hydrax ambassador hissed. A relic, a scholar beside him answered. Pre-energy warfare. Pre-flight. From Earth. Why is it curved? It's not, the scholar corrected softly. That's precision. That's balance. In the VIP platform, Overlord Castor entered with thunder in his steps, adorned in black armor threaded with crimson plasma veins. His weapon was ceremonial, a pulse halberd, taller than Elias, powered by a microcore reactor. He spun it once in his clawed grip for show, searing a trench into the stone beneath him. Then he laughed. This is your weapon, human? A sliver of dead metal? Elias didn't respond. He held the sword low, one hand relaxed, the other resting gently on the hilt. His stance was neither aggressive nor defensive. It was composed. Alive. The dual officiator, a multi-eyed Makari priest, stepped forward. Combat to yield or death, it declared. No interference. No aid. By Dominion law, let the rite begin. A gong sounded. Castor charged. Fast. Elias didn't move. The halberd cut through the air like a screaming comet. The blade snapped forward. And Elias slipped past it. Not stumbled. Not ducked. Slipped. With the grace of a leaf floating downstream. One foot turned. One shoulder dipped. The weapon sliced nothing but heat. Castor spun, confused. Elias was behind him, calm, poised. Strike two came quicker. The Overlord roared, swinging low and wide. Elias stepped forward, into the arc, and twisted. Steel whispered. The tip of the sword grazed Castor's pauldron. A spark. A hiss. Then a line of smoke rising from where alien alloy had been cut. Cut. The crowd leaned forward as one. Castor stared at the line across his armor, hand trembling. Impossible, he snarled. Elias said nothing. His blade shimmered slightly in the light, untouched. You hide tricks in the metal. Castor accused, voice rising. Elias tilted his head. I hide nothing. You simply forgot how to see. The Overlord roared again, this time not for show. Rage drove him. He unleashed a flurry, spinning, stabbing, feinting, hammering the ground with plasma bursts. Sparks flew. Craters opened in the arena floor. Elias danced. To the crowd, it was almost an illusion, his steps flowed like water, always a second ahead. Where others might block or retreat, he turned into danger, controlling its direction, letting Kostor's strength become imbalance. Another cut. This time across the thigh. Sparks again. Then the shoulder. A clean line through the armor's edge. The Overlord bled. Green. Just a trickle. But it was enough. Enough to break the crowd's silence. Gasps echoed. Shock replaced mockery. "He's marking him," one voice said. "He's teaching," whispered another. On the sidelines, an elderly Zelixi historian leaned closer to his student. "Swords," he murmured, "were not just weapons. They were symbols. They demanded discipline. Precision. Intention. To draw one was to accept consequence." Kostor staggered back, panting. Rage didn't power him anymore, uncertainty had crept in. "You mock me," he snarled, swinging once more. This time, Elias caught the halberd shaft on the flat of his blade, turned, and disarmed him with a swift twist of his wrist. The halberd clattered across the arena. Silence fell so deep, the ambient field hum vanished. Elias didn't press forward. He stood with the sword pointed down. Kostor stumbled back, chest heaving. "You had a weapon this whole time," he growled. "You just hid it in tradition." Elias took one step forward. "No. We remembered what you forgot." The Overlord reached for a secondary dagger, small, hidden in his gauntlet. A desperate move. Elias moved like lightning. One slash. The dagger fell. Along with a piece of Kostor's gauntlet. And the tip of one claw. The Overlord froze, staring at his hand. The blade rested at his throat. Elias's voice was steady. "Yield." Kostor's eyes, wide now, searched the human's face. "Not for mercy. For understanding. You're not warriors," he muttered. "You're monks." Elias met his gaze. "We're both. You thought weakness came from choosing peace. But it came from forgetting struggle." The officiator raised its arms. Combat complete. The crowd, still stunned, did not cheer. Not yet. Elias stepped back, lowering his blade. No victory pose. No insult. Just silence. He looked around the arena, at every face watching. "Remember this day," he said. "Because Earth never forgot who we are." Then he turned and walked away, sword in hand. The silence held a moment longer. Then, across the arena, applause, slow, hesitant, then rising, began. Not from humans. From those who had come expecting nothing. Who had witnessed everything. The laughter was gone. And in its place, respect had begun to grow. Overlord Kostor knelt in the dust of the arena of echoes, green blood trailing from shallow cuts across his arms, shoulders, and pride. The crowd didn't speak. Their voices, once loud with mockery, were now strangled by revelation. Captain Elias Vorn stood 3 paces away, sword lowered but still in hand. His breathing was even. His stance, relaxed. Not a trace of fear remained, only presence. Kostor's chest rose and fell in sharp, uneven movements. Rage clashed with disbelief. He had fought for 2 centuries, commanded fleets, conquered worlds. But here, now, brought low not by plasma or politics, but by steel and silence. "You humiliated me," the Overlord rasped. "No," Elias answered calmly. "You did that yourself." Kostor growled, rising to his feet with effort. The cuts were minor, but something deeper had cracked, an authority built on unchallenged dominance. "You think this duel proves humanity's worth?" Elias held his gaze. "I didn't come to prove humanity is stronger. I came to prove we are not less." From the far edge of the arena, the Dominion guards flinched as Kostor reached toward his side again. Elias didn't raise the sword. Instead, he spoke quietly, firmly. "Break the right, and the galaxy sees you for what you truly are." Kostor paused, hand hovering over a concealed command trigger. The officiator, eyes glowing, arms raised, stepped between them. The laws of challenge are fulfilled. By yield, the human stands victorious. The Overlord's hand curled into a fist, then slowly dropped to his side. His voice, when it came, was lower, more gravel than thunder. You've made a fool of me before the Dominion. No, Elias said. I've reminded them that fear is not strength. Understanding is. He turned then, not arrogantly, not triumphantly, but with finality. Every step back toward the exit was a statement. The court watched, stunned, as the first human to challenge a galactic overlord walked away, alive, sword in hand, honor intact. As he reached the threshold of the arena, a voice called out. Wait. It wasn't Castor. It came from the council balconies above, a voice filtered through translation nodes, calm and analytical. High Consul Threx of the Makari Collective leaned forward, multiple eyes blinking slowly. Captain Vorn. Your actions today have invoked not only Article 17, but also precedent under the Dominion's founding accords. Elias turned, silently waiting. Earth may submit a formal petition, the Consul continued, for recognition as a sovereign world. This duel qualifies as cultural demonstration of parity. The court erupted, not in outrage, but in debate. Whispers turned to murmurs, murmurs to chatter. The old laws, long thought ceremonial, had been triggered, publicly, undeniably. No species could deny what had been witnessed. The rules had spoken. Castor didn't interrupt. He remained where he stood, silent, watching Elias with an expression no one had seen on the Overlord's face before. Respect. Elias gave a slight nod. We will submit our petition. Together. He left the arena. 1 week later, Earth, United Sol Embassy. A sea of people gathered beneath the Earth flag as the broadcast replayed footage of the duel. Children clutched wooden swords. Veterans wept. News feeds ran one headline across every screen. The human who made the galaxy listen. In orbit, emissaries from 7 species arrived at Earth's orbital station. They came not to issue orders, but to begin talks. Zalix Prime, the throne room. Castor sat on his throne, head lowered, advisors buzzing around him in hushed tones. He hadn't spoken much since the duel. A general approached. Should we contest their petition, my overlord? Castor didn't answer right away. He stared at the space where Elias had stood. At the floor still scorched by plasma and steel. Finally, he shook his head. No, he said quietly. We watched a human walk through a door we forgot how to open. But let them sit at the table, Castor ordered. Better to face warriors with honor than mock them and breed rebellion. Earth, Mount Shoryu, Kyoto Prefecture. The dojo was simple. Stone, wood, silence. Elias stepped through the gates and removed his shoes. The sword rested in its case beside him. An old man swept the floor. So, the elder said, not looking up, you took it to the stars. Elias smiled faintly. It needed to be remembered. The elder stopped sweeping and faced him. And did they listen? They had no choice. The elder nodded, placing the broom aside. Then the blade did what it was made to do, not kill, but remind. Galactic Dominion Central Archive, entry update log. New entry added, first duel of recognition, Elias Vorn vs Overlord Castor. Outcome, human victory. Cultural significance, high. Status of Earth, petition for sovereign membership, under review. Notes, first known instance of Terran steel used in sanctioned combat. Recorded efficiency, 87% engagement dominance. Psychological impact, severe. And so, it began. Not with lasers. Not with fleets. But with a sword. A stance. And the unwavering belief that history favors not the loudest voice, but the one that dares to speak when silence is expected. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had reminded it what it means to stand. The stars hadn't changed, but the way the galaxy looked at them had. From the orbiting Terran embassy, Earth's blue and white curve shimmered through the reinforced glass, vast and unbroken. Below, people still worked, argued, laughed, and lived, mostly unaware of how close they'd come to disappearing from galactic relevance. Only a handful truly understood what had shifted. Captain Elias Vorn stood before the glass, arms folded, eyes fixed on the planet he'd bled for without shedding a drop. Behind him, quiet footsteps approached. "You're not one for celebrations, are you?" He turned slightly. Ambassador Kira Lang, Earth's chief diplomat, held 2 cups of dark tea, steam curling like lazy comets between them. She offered one. He took it. "Celebrations premature," Elias said. Kira smirked. "We've got half the Dominion ready to sign diplomatic relations. Even the Makari are considering trade. The Zelixi haven't spoken a word since the arena. Maybe silence is their version of surrender," she offered, sipping her tea. Elias didn't smile. "Or planning." A low chime interrupted their quiet, an incoming call routed through diplomatic encryption. The lights dimmed, and a hologram flickered into view. It was him. Overlord Kostor. No armor now. No throne. Just the towering alien, standing alone in what looked like a meditation chamber, bare walls, pale stone, no guards. "Captain Vorn," Kostor said, voice stripped of performance. "You refused our invitation for formal recognition in person." "I don't celebrate symbolism," Elias said. "Only substance." The Overlord inclined his head. "Then we speak plainly. Earth's petition has passed." Kira straightened. "Passed? You are no longer property," Kostor said. "You are acknowledged. Equal. Dangerous." Kira smiled slowly. Elias didn't react. Kostor continued. "But know this, the Dominion did not yield out of weakness. We yielded out of memory. You owe something old." "A sword tends to do that," Elias replied. Kostor studied him. "There was once honor in the blade. We abandoned it for efficiency. You shamed us into remembering." "It wasn't about shame," Elias said. "It was about showing you that your enemy may not look how you expect, but we bleed the same." A silence passed between them. Then Kostor spoke again, lower this time. "I have ordered that all records of the duel be archived without restriction. Let the stars learn. Let them see." Then the signal ended. Kira turned to Elias. "That sounded almost humble." "It sounded like survival," he replied. 6 weeks later, Mars Terraforming Station. A young engineer in dust-stained overalls checked her comm panel twice. "You're kidding," she muttered, staring at the broadcast. "They're sending a Zarn delegation here." "Why not?" her coworker said, calibrating a solar array. "Word is, Earth's got edge now." The girl laughed. "All it took was one guy with a sword." Outer Orbit, Dominion Military Archive. The duel's footage looped silently. Across research centers and academies, cadets studied Elias's movements. Historians debated the philosophy. Weapons analysts scanned the sword's metallurgy. Some scoffed. Others took notes. And one young Dominion lieutenant, secretly training in a mirrored chamber, copied every motion he could. New Geneva, Earth Diplomatic Summit. Inside the Global Assembly Dome, 12 species stood around a circular table. Translation drones hummed. Documents scrolled across data glass in a dozen alphabets. Elias watched from a high balcony, unseen by most. His job was done, but his presence remained a signal Earth had teeth. Down below, an argument sparked between 2 ambassadors over mining rights. One raised a voice. The other hissed. But then silence fell as the Makari delegate raised a finger. "The Terran method," it said simply. "Resolve this not through volume, but through action. Offer something better." The room hesitated, then nodded. Not everything had changed. But something had. Late night, Elias's quarters. He sat on the edge of his bunk, sword case beside him, unopened since the duel. His comm buzzed. A personal call. He answered. A child's voice came through, clear, small, awestruck. Are you the man with the sword? Elias blinked. Who is this? I'm Ravi, the boy said. From New Delhi. My school watched you. Our teacher said you reminded the galaxy that humans are special. Elias leaned forward. What do you think? There was a pause. I think we forgot too. But now I want to learn. I want to fight. Not hurt, just know how. Elias smiled. You already do, he said. You asked the right question. The call ended. He opened the sword case. Steel gleamed beneath soft lights. And for the first time since the duel, Elias didn't see a weapon. He saw a legacy. Zalix Prime, personal log of Overlord Kostor. We misjudged them. Not because of power, but because of memory. They brought to the arena what we had lost, purpose and struggle. May the Dominion never forget again. May we never mock before understanding. Let this be recorded, not as defeat, but as awakening. Final scene, deep space transmission. A probe floated near a quiet moon, broadcasting a simple message on a loop. To all species. To all systems. From the humans of Earth. We may not be the strongest. We may not be the fastest. But we remember. We endure. And we stand. Transmission ends. The stars, silent, bear witness. And across the galaxy, in places that had never before spoken Earth's name with reverence, the word human now carried weight. Not fear. Not pity. But respect. Earned by one man. And a sword.